power. The one thing that destroys the human spirit is the lust for power. In our lives, there are three different things and different ways to have power. Money, using money to control others. Power, control of others, using money. And sex, another powerful method of controlling others. Each one of these different things can be used by humanity, by human beings, to control other people and enslave other people. Raw power, money, can be used to give you power. Sex can be used to give you power. Power can solicit sex or money. All of these, do you understand how each one of these interconnect? We are in the book of 1 Corinthians. We're going to find that Paul had to deal with all of these, because as Christians, we will lose our ability to enjoy our lives and to truly know Jesus and bring others to him if we have any one of these that are our primary directive of life. I'm Pastor John from Livingstones and Sunland Tonga, Seventh-day Adventist Churches, and it is time for the call to prayer. I'm so glad we're all here. Now, we're going to go on the fast train today. Next week, I believe we're going to be dealing with Gnosticism specifically, and I'll have a couple weeks where you have to understand Gnostic principles. But until that happens, we're going to move forward from last week, so that we can understand this text that Paul is giving us. 1 Corinthians. We ended last week at about verse 17, but I'm going to have us move back to 15. Is Christ divided, Paul asks. Was Paul crucified for you? Were you baptized in the name of Paul? Do you see how Paul is taking the power that he could have over the people of Corinth and giving it somewhere else? Let's take a look at where he hands the power to. I thank God that I did not baptize any of you except for perhaps Crispus and Gaius. So no one can say that you were baptized in my name. Yes, I also baptized the household of Stephanas. Beyond that, I cannot remember if I baptized anyone else. Do you see how Paul is using his own mind and his own memory as a way to remind them that this is not about checking boxes and power in life. You see, in today's society, we love check boxes. It gives us power. Oh, I have this, and I have this, and I have this. And that means that I deserve this. That's entitlement. The Corinth church, unfortunately, through their aristocracy, had become very entitled. But then, interestingly enough, that aristocratic mindset always trickles down to the lower castes in society. And then they also create their own caste system. We see that today in society. In fact, big tech is big into aristocracy. I mean, after all, when you're in computers, it's about gatekeeping, right? Gatekeeping is what it's all about. This user has power to do this. That user does not have power to do that. But you see, that's how it is. It's binary. Either you're in or you're out. Let's continue reading and see how Paul deals with this power issue in Corinth. I'm letting you see the psychology of what Paul is doing here. The Apostle Paul, under the instruction of the Holy Spirit, what he is doing in using psychology that God created. Psychology. Using this ability to be able to reach people for Jesus that the world would say are far gone. Verse 17, for Christ did not send me to baptize, but to preach the gospel, not with wisdom and eloquence, lest the cross of Christ be emptied of its what? Power. You see? He's dealing with power We're going to discover more as these upcoming weeks come about this Corinth church. This book of Corinthians that we have, 1 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians, are actually two books that are actually four books. There's a section in 2 Corinthians where it's a small first book. That was the first one. Then the second book of Corinthians, the real second, is 1 Corinthians. The second letter is 1 Corinthians. And then in the book of 2 Corinthians, there is the third and then the fourth letter. There's the difficult letter and then the fourth letter, which is the beginning of 2 Corinthians. All of these books were compiled together so that we may have all the writings of St. Paul. But sometimes the editor, as they stick it, not editor, but the compiler sometimes didn't know where to put what. But we can discover by the context. So we continue. For the message of the cross is foolishness for those who are perishing. But to those who are being saved, it is the power of God. Again, this word power, this powerful word, has to do with that there is a message and gospel message that this world does not see power in, but God chose to use this message and to have real power. When you're dealing with Gnosticism, you have to understand the difference between real and also illusion. Gnostics were very Platonistic. They believed that the world of Plato's cave was how they were approaching it. And by the way, I am very Platonistic, but not in the way the Gnostics were. They said that this world is an illusion. It's not real. It doesn't exist. What we see around us doesn't exist. The world of ideas exists. The real world. And it's hidden from the foolish. And only certain people can see it. Okay, that's great. But you see how the caste system is? The smart one is on top. The Brahmin is on top. And then it moves down. Well, there's the helper people. And then there's the low people. And then there's the low class untouchable, which they'll never know. And they're going to go to hell anyway, so what difference does it make? See, I'm relating this to Christianity because they've taken this philosophical system of Gnosticism and now they baptized it right into Christianity. And Paul is having to deal with it because we all as human beings are not perfect. When we are baptized, it doesn't all of a sudden, everything's perfect. It all just comes into us. No. We have a past. We have ideologies we've believed in. We have political parties we've voted for, right? We have family backgrounds. We have the experience of our lives. Sometimes when we get to know God, we take that experience and we backpack it on to Christianity. So we put on the backpack that doesn't belong there in Christianity and we carry it with us. So that's what these Gnostics did. These Gnostically leaning people. They were into this power thing. And that comes from Corinth. For Greece, or the Greek culture, was very aristocratic. And Corinth was just to the north of Athens. Athens, the seat of education. The owl, the symbol of education. Then we have also the northern part, which is Corinth, which was that where the Adriatic Sea connected with, I believe it's the Mediterranean Sea. These two interconnect. So you unload boats here and you load boats here. So all of the commerce happened right through Corinth, this small, like, peninsula area. The only way to get from one sea to the other. So they were in a perfect position to make money. So if they feel aristocratic and they have lots of money, it gives them kind of like a platform to tell others, I'm awesome and you're not. Sometimes us Adventists do the same thing to the world. It's a shame. But here's his answer. By the power, verse 18, for this message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise. The intelligence of the intelligent I will frustrate, God said. Where is your wise man? Or where is your wise person? Where is the teacher of the law? Where is the philosopher of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? Verse 21 of chapter 1 in Corinthians. For since the wisdom of God, the world through its wisdom did not know him, God was pleased through the foolishness of what was preached to save those who believe. In other words, in this world, the rulers of this world saw all of those that follow Jesus and Jesus as a fool. In fact, you find this in the book of John, chapter 1. The world was darkness. He was the light. But this world could not contemplate it. It could not understand it. It could not pull him down. Though he came to save the world did not know him. See, same thing as here. We have the rulers of this world, the political, the heavenly realms, Lucifer, the controllers of money in this world, the donor classes of this world, the religious and secular controls of this world, the Hollywood media types of this world, all of them that existed at the time of Jesus and at the time of Paul in Corinth as well. They had their own, they did it different than us, but they did the same things as we are doing today. They all are in charge. Paul, the Apostle Paul, through inspiration is saying, I'm sorry, they know nothing. They think we're fools. But Jesus saved us through his foolishness. He gives us power of the cross. Let's continue. Verse 22, the Jewish people demand signs. They demand like healing signs, these big signs. Greeks ask for wisdom, Sophia. That's what the word wisdom in Greek is, Sophia. They ask for wisdom, but we don't do either. We preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to the Jews. You know why it's a stumbling block? Because if you're miraculously going to win, then why would you be crucified on a cross? It's like the Muslims. Many Muslims, actually Islam says, that Jesus was never crucified. He's the Son of God and he never died on a cross. That was a fake. That was someone else that was exchanged. But Jesus never died on a cross. Because if Jesus died on a cross, that would be a failure. He didn't fail. Jesus never failed at all, right? So that's how Islam looks at it. The Jewish leadership say, oh, he didn't die on a cross. If he died on a cross, that means he's not a prophet, right? That's their thought process. So that's why it's a stumbling block to the Jews, at least of this time. So the cross is a stumbling block to the Jews and foolishness to the Gentiles. The Gentile, who's Greek, says, why in the world, what? Someone died on a cross, and so what? If you want real power, you don't die on a cross. If you want real power, you're an emperor. You tell others what to do. You have lots of money. So basically, the Jews and the Gentiles are the same. Paul is lumping them into the same group. Verse 24, but to those whom God has called, both the Jews and the Greeks, Christ is the power of God. You see that word power again? He is the power of God and wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom. And the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. God subverted this world underneath the fence, and through the loss of the cross gained power for you and for me. How he did that, we're going to find out. Stay with us. I'll see you in a second. It's 7:15, time for intercession.